Als het vanoggend.
Good morning.
Baie welkom.
Good morning.
En hier is hy weer by my. Ek het hom gaan haal by die bed.
I was dragged out of my bed this morning by a bearded man with a leather jacket.
Ja. Maar jy het baie goed jou van jouself gekwyt deur.
Baie dankie.
Deur vir my te sê welkom.
Yes.
En ingenooi en toe het ek vir hom gesê kom, opstand uit kos.
Did you tell them what happened?
Nee, ek het nie.
Oh,
Ek het
shall
net
we tell
gesê
them what
jy kan gerus vertel.
Well, not really.
Ek het net gister gesê jy's afwesig.
Right.
Ons hoop jy's vinnig weer terug.
Yeah, so for those of you who missed me yesterday, believe me, I missed you more.
Ja.
Because Kaufeee fell on the stairs over the weekend. And as I'm sitting here, the private hospital, which is a fantastic hospital, the Lady Pohamba Private Hospital, has treated me yesterday and has confirmed that I've got 2 broken ribs.
Ja.
So I'm reasonably medicated, but I am at my post.
Ja. Baie dankie vir almal van julle.
It's alive, yes.
Wat gister gesels het en die show in die gang gehou het. En baie dankie ook vir julle wat op ons WhatsApp, ons dedicated WhatsApp vir ons boodskappe gestuur. Ons het dit gelees en Kaufeee het sommer al vroeg vir hulle geantwoord. Ek het een hier so, hello julle G hier. So dit kan nou, ek is nie seker wat 'n G dit is nie, ons sal later uitvind. En dan die res
I think this DJ G, if I'm not mistaken.
Dit kan wees. Want as ek 'n speaker
He's
kies
a
by.
fantastic DJ, yeah.
Okay, dankie.
He's a really good DJ.
So kom Suid-Afrikaners, laat weet vir ons wat gaan aan met die koue weer.
Yes, because the forecast for tomorrow, which we'll deal with a little bit later, I suggest you get your jerseys and your jackets out.
Ja, verseker.
Yes.
Ons het twee temperature gekry vanuit die Vrystaat. Maar ek het niks gekry uit die Kaap uit nie. En as liefste Carolie daar kyk vanoggend, laat weet bietjie vir ons wat gaan aan. Ek dink dis al die tweede of die derde koue front wat nou besig is om in te beweeg.
Ja.
Nou maak hy so 'n slap lang arm daar deur die Vrystaat tot daar na Johannesburg Pretoria se kant toe en dan al langs die kus af met baie reën.
Ja.
En natuurlik sneeu op sekere plekke. So as jy hierna kyk, laat weet vir ons vandag. Ons het weer gou-gou koerante, voorblad nuus hier en daar. Vandag voordat ons eerste gas welkom heet. Voordat ons met hom gesels gaan ons ook met Jofie praat.
Jofie Lamprecht.
Jofie Lamprecht.
Yes.
Ons bel hom al die pad in een van die parke daarbo in die Kaprivi. En hy gaan 'n bietjie gesels oor paddissiplines, die gebruik van paaie in nasionale parke.
Right.
En respek vir mekaar.
Yes.
Besoekers en maar hy staan by ons gaan hom so 1/4 bel. So kos tackle koerante eers.
Right. So the Namibian newspaper, the Allgemeine Zeitung, here it is on the front page. Maybe I can just bring it a little bit closer. They are reporting, if I can just find my glasses, here they are. They are reporting that poaching now also affects Namibian hyenas. As Tuesday is our Conservation and also Nature and Tourism Day, the newspaper is reporting today on the 16th of August that a lot of injuries to our hyenas are taking place are experienced at the moment because of the use of snares and also foot traps.
Okay.
And they've got a smaller picture over here right at the bottom, and I'm sure that if you were to go in buy the newspaper and go and have a look at this. Dirk, these traps are something incredibly terrible, brutal, and absolutely inhumane. It's so disturbing when I see these traps. I can just imagine what it must feel like for any animal that steps into that trap and then basically cannot get out or has to basically mangle their entire leg or foot out in order to get out of that trap. It's absolutely disturbing.
Kaufeee, dis soos die diefstal, die veediefstal wat plaasvind. Die beeste word aangejaag, baie keer 8 of 10.
Right.
En dan word hulle nou stelselmatig een vir een word hulle nou doodgemaak.
Yes.
Maar sodat die ander nie weghardloop nie, word die agterste sening van die agterste bene word afgekap met 'n panga. en dan lê daai bees nou daar totdat hy geslag word. So mense kan nie dink hoe dit moet wees. Maar ons gaan praat weer oor die issue van poaching met ons ouens wat deelneem aan die gesprek, Jaco, Mark Paxton en so meer. Is baie wonderlik hoe ons nuus kry van hulle en op 'n gereelde basis dit vir ons gestuur word. Baie dankie. Onthou Dinsdae ons gesprek rondom toerisme en ook natuurbewaring. Ander hoofberig, daar is party wat negatief is, party wat positief is.
Yes.
Jy kan die positiewe ene kan jy nou met ons bespreek.
Right.
Ek wil net gou sê dat die staking kwessie gaan nog steeds aan. Transnamib het nou berig dat van die 726 Transnamib werkers of 726 werkers het gesê kom ons staak. Dit is uit 'n groep van 788. Hulle het gesê kom ons gaan staak. Transnamib sê wel, as julle nie werk nie, gaan julle ook nie betaal word nie. So daai vuurtjie word nou warmer en daai vlamme brand al hoër.
Yep. Then on the front page of the Namibian, I know Dirk said that I should give you the good news. I'm not too sure if this is the really
Well,
the good news.
it's kind of good in a direction, good movement. It's far from conclusive, but it sounds good. It just at least someone is doing something.
And the Namibian is reporting that Namibia pushes to trophy hunt white rhinos.
Yeah.
No, I'm not too sure if that is the best way to go. However, Namibia, the Namibian reports that Namibia wants the Convention on International Trade and in Endangered Species, in other words, CITES, to allow it to trade live white rhinos and make them available to trophy hunters. Namibia is pushing for permission to trade its white rhinos, which would include live sales and making them available for trophy hunting.
Kyk, die debat gaan daaroor en ons gaan vir Jaco Miller kry dat hy hieroor gesels. Die debat gaan daaroor. Hulle mag nie op hierdie stadium kan die boere niks doen nie.
Yes.
So al wat hulle doen is hulle verwyder die horings sodat die diere nie geskiet word nie.
Aha.
Dis die eerste ding, nie gestroop word nie.
Right.
En die aanwas vind plaas, maar hy kan niks daarmee doen, want die diere doen nie behalwe dit moontlik verkoop aan 'n ander land of na ander plase toe in bijvoorbeeld in Namibië.
Ja.
So wat hierdie ding nou is kom ons maak dit legal dat die diere gejag kan word. Okay? Dit gee vir die boere inkomste. En die grootwildjagters sal kom daarvoor. En dit gaan ook stop dat die diere onnodig gepoach word.
Okay.
Jy weet. So ek dink die stroping gaan dalk bietjie afneem. Ten minste het die boer 'n mate van 'n inkomste. Op hierdie stadium het hy geen inkomste nie. Hy kan niks met die horings maak nie en hy kan glad nie die diere verkoop behalwe as dit na 'n ander plaas toe is.
And subsequently also runs the financial risk of having to look after it.
Nou goed, die vraag is, jy weet, dis die ou storie van damn if you do, damn if you don't. Maar laat weet julle vir ons, wat dink jy? Moet die jag van renosters goedgekeur word?
Ja.
Sodat die aanwas kan plaasvind en daar 'n mate van 'n inkomste vir die boere is. Met ander woorde, dit word 'n volwaardige boerdery soos enige ander groot wild in Namibië en dan word lisensie permitte en so meer uitgereik. Die een vraag wat ek wel het is, sal dit moontlik wees vir daai grootwildjagter wat hierdie renoster kom jag het, of hy die trofee dan kan stuur na die land van sy herkoms? Dis 'n vraag en daai vraag sal iewers nog beantwoord moet word, maar steeds word jou opinie.
Because quite often it's really up to Namibia wanting to export these trophies.
Yeah.
But what are the rules and regulations in other countries in terms of importing those trophies? That is also something to remember. Another curveball from the side is, let's say, for example, this does get approved and we then subsequently end up in certain areas with white rhinos, which are available for trophy hunting, and that is the real purpose and all good and all fine. Would that not attract more poachers? Because the poaching game is not stopping.
Wel, ek weet nie, kom ons vind uit, in steede van ek wil nie daaroor bespiegel nie, soos ek sê, ons gaan vir Jaco kry.
Sure. And we are not the experts here.
Ja, glad nie. Maar jou opinie maak saak. Vertel vir ons, wat dink jy?
Yes.
Ek is seker ons het 'n paar ouens wat opinie daaroor het. Dieselfde soos Namibië wat sê, kom ons bedank van CITES. Ons wil niks met dit te doen nie, want dis 'n klomp lande waar daar geen bewaring plaasvind nie. Hulle het eers parke nie wat reëls en regulasies maak wat op die CITES raad sit.
Right.
Op daai uitvoerende komitee. So ja of nee gaan Namibië, Suid-Afrika, Botswana sê dankie CITES, ons is klaar met julle, ons bestuur, ons parke en die bewaringsprosesse soos wat ons goed dink.
Ja.
Dat weet vir ons 'n bietjie wat dink julle, daai ding is ook warm op die tafel.
There we have it. Okay, shall we
more
quickly
for a
have a look who's all online with us? Nice to have you all with us. Andre Kariki Carstens is with us. He says, good morning. Joep Nelt says, it's alive. Indeed it is, Joep. It's part and parcel of growing up and becoming old and falling over chairs and stairs and whatever.
Cheers and cheers, ja.
Kariki sê, Henties baie is cool, die son wil deurkom. En dan Ansie Burger, sy sê natuurlik vir ons. Goeiemôre, lekker koud, nat en mistig hier by die kus. Dankie Ansie.
Baie dankie daarvoor. Ja.
Sean Fellis is with us from FJ Logistics and Liesel Venter van Sail. She's saying, morning boys. Liesel is working at Farm and Ocean. Have you ever been to that shop?
Nee,
Farm and Ocean?
Nee, maar ek verstaan,
what a shop.
Dit is, ons moet net uitvind presies wat die adres is.
Right.
En dalk
I know where it is.
Okay, maar dan moet jy vir ons vertel.
Yes.
En dan moet ons kyk of ons vir Liesel kan kry om dalk te kom gesels oor al hulle produkte.
Perhaps that, or maybe we can even go to Liesel.
Ja, dis 'n ander manier. Kom ons kyk of ons haar in die hande kan kry. Baie dankie Liesel. Jy sê Sean het gesê goeiemôre.
Goeiemôre, Sean is also alive.
Kom ons sê vir hom goeiemôre deur die volgende te doen. Daar loop hy nou.
FJ Logistics. We do road freight, mostly from our neighboring countries. We do air freight, from all over the world. And we even do ocean freight, for those not so easy cargoes. Most of all, we guarantee to always deliver on time. FJ Logistics. Give us a call today.
Daar het julle dit FJ Logistics.
FJ Logistics, your transport experts in Namibia.
Ons week, besef jy meneer Kaufeee, dat ons is nou al by Dinsdagoggend.
Yes.
Ons het hierdie week geslaai uit die blok uit.
Ja.
En hier sit ons twee, maar daar's soveel goed wat hierdie week gaan gebeur.
There are a lot of things happening.
Ja, ons week is gelaai met inligting.
Yes.
Vertel 'n bietjie.
So also there's a South African artist coming up to Namibia. His name is Andries Botha. You may have seen already the ads on social media, on Infostream as well. We will be having an interview with Andries Botha on Thursday. It's going to be an outside broadcast. We're not going to let the cat out of the bag quite yet. Leave it up for a surprise.
En dan Vrydag is ons ook
Yes.
buite kan nie uitleef. By nog 'n uitsending.
Ja.
Ons gaan vir julle meer inligting daaroor gee. Maar praat van Andries Botha, kyk hierna.
Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Nie veel nie. Die wêreld is nie veel nie. Wat is die wêreld sonder jou? Wat is die wêreld sonder jou?
Dat is dit. So ons gaan donderdagoggend nog gesels. As dit goed gaan môreoggend praat ons oor die kuns van tatoeëring of tatoeëring as 'n kuns en die kunstenaars. Ons het twee van hulle genooi kom bietjie gesels oor die kunswerk wat hulle doen. En onthou net een ding, dis nou baie interessant, nee. Dis nie op 'n stuk papier nie. Dis nie op houtagtergrond nie. Ja. Dit is op jou vel. So as daai kunswerk gedoen is, dan is dit daar vir altyd. Laat weet vir ons wat julle dink oor tatoeëring of die kunswerk op die vel. En ons het verlede week daaroor gepraat. Partykeer kan daai kunswerk verskriklik verkeerd gaan.
Ja.
En dan wat doen jy dan? Jy kan dit nie uitvee nie of toeverf nie. Jy kan seker 'n hempie daaroor trek as jy wil.
Yeah, but it's still going to be there.
Presies.
So tattoos with spelling mistakes.
Ja, ja, of die verkeerde datum van jou kind se geboorte.
Yeah, or the wrong phone number on your butt.
Ja, so ons gaan 'n bietjie daaroor gestel. Stuur vir ons wat julle dink van tatoeëring. Iemand het op ons Facebook boodskap gestuur en gesê ek dink ek het 'n tattoo nodig, dit sal my lewe verander.
Right.
Well, yes. Dit kan. Maar dink bietjie mooi daaroor.
And always remember, hey, if you put tattoos on your back or maybe at your lower back, if you ever end up in jail, it could be a problem.
Ja, ja. En af van kos gesels môre daaroor. Kaufeee, mens kan sien jy's gesond. Ja, ons gaan nou met Jens Schneider praat oor die hele kwessie, the actual definition of ocean literacy and also the fundamentals thereof. we're also going to talk about the importance of the Benguela current on the coast of Namibia and South Africa. Very, very interesting one. Jens is standing by. But before we do that, a hot debate. Kaufeee die ding is verskriklik warm. En dit gaan oor toerorganisasies, toeriste en so meer en die gebruik van paaie binne die parke. Ons praat van nasionale parke en privaat parke.
Yes.
En daai klein vlammetjie het gewoed tot nog vanoggend in die vroeë oggendure en ons het vir Jofie gevra of hy daaroor kan gesels, iemand wat baie uitgesproke is daaroor. Ons gaan nie name noem wie die toerorganisasies nie, want hier gaan dit oor die gebruik deur almal en ook respek teenoor mekaar van almal. Die een van die foto's wat ek gesien het op die natuurbewaring groep wat my aan die een kant so 'n bietjie binne ons laat lag het, maar aan die ander kant my kwaad gemaak het, is hoe so 'n toerorganisasie se voertuig langs die pad staan en al die toeriste stap op die oewer van 'n rivier.
Okay.
Maar in daardie park is daar leeu's, daar's olifante, daar's renosters, daar's alles. Nou wie laat wat toe? En wat staan ons te doen? Is dit ons plig om te sê nee of moet die parke owerhede strenger wees? Kom ons hoor wat sê Jofie, ons gaan gou skakel en hoor of hy aan die ander kant vir ons beskikbaar is. Kyk of ons hom in die hande kan kry. Daar sê, môre Jofie, hoe gaan dit?
Lekker met jou.
Goed, hier by my ook Hannes Kaufman.
Hello, Jofie. Nice to speak to you.
Kaufeee, how are you?
All good, all good.
Jofie, yes, I mean, it's quite a hot debate, and it started off with one or two reports and photographs, basically of operators in the park, and then by this morning, the debate between operators, park authorities, people like yourself, was really sort of like burning very, very hot. Let's talk about the use, the right or wrong uses of roads, and also mutual respect in our parks.
Look, our national parks are our heritage. It's what our current government and forefathers have saved and preserved for our use and our wonderful viewing of these pristine areas. And basically, the rules in national parks are you must stay on the road. They are main roads where one has to stick to, and driving off-road is completely illegal and against park rules. Now, signage in parks is limited due to limited funding, and our government and our parks departments are doing what they can in order to preserve what we have, but the funding is not there to put up all the signage that's needed in order to tell people where not to drive. So now we're finding people driving off-road all over the place, and people are using the excuse that, well, their car track's there already, so why don't we drive there as well? They've done wrong, so why don't we do wrong? Which is the wrong approach, absolutely, in these national parks and these beautiful areas that we've preserved and kept. And that is just an ignorant response to what is happening. And, we need to respect what we have, and we need to respect where we are. And these places need to be kept pristine. If everyone drives wherever the hell they want, it's going to be a disaster. And I got a comment this morning, well, why are there no entry signs everywhere where people are driving off roads? I said, well, do you want Christmas ornaments hanging all over the national parks and making them look like an absolute laughing stock? People should just respect where they're allowed to drive, where they're not allowed to drive, and stay on the main roads and enjoy what we have as beautiful Namibia.
But there was another shocking picture, and that was also a tour operator with the vehicle and the actual tourist outside the vehicle on the banks of the river, just roaming freely there. And that to me was just unacceptable.
So what would happen if that tourist got eaten by a lion or stomped by an elephant? And those animals would have to be destroyed in the first world. That's the immediate reaction. So those people are playing with Africa's wildlife and possibly dooming them to death. And that's also not the right way of conducting yourself in a national park and in a wildlife area. I
just want to ask you, and it just came to my mind because I remember it from way back when, Don't you think it's a matter of these guides wanting to prove that they are quite macho, or looking forward to a big fat kind of a bit of money, a tip at the end of the day, because he actually took them to the place and said, no, it's fine, I'm in charge, I will look after you, why don't you get out, so that they can take the pictures, go home and say, you know, this is what we've done.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Everyone's chasing money at the end of the day. Money is king. But we still need to just respect what the rules are and respect other people that also utilize these parks and have self-discipline. And it's called track discipline, staying on the roads. And then also you need to tell your clients that they need to stay in the truck. There are national parks without toilets where, you know, ladies and men have to relieve themselves, which forces you to get out the car, which is also understandable. But do not roam, you know, far from the vehicle. You never know what animals are around.
Yeah. Jofie, another thing, a comment was made that there should be different roads, maybe leading roads or main roads, one for the summertime and one for the winter time, because of the proximity of water holes and where the animals are roaming. What's your opinion on that?
Yes, one of the lodge owners made that comment, and it's a very sensible comment in my opinion. But then we need to put in the money and demarcate those places. That, you know, they're green and blue roads, or green and black roads. And green roads are for the green season, and blue roads are for the dry season, whichever. But that they demarcated and that people know where they can and cannot drive.
Jofie, that's all good and well. Do you think that the parks have the management to do that, to actually apply those things and to provide printed material to the tourists and or road users, so that they au fait with that? I remember as a child, when you enter a park, you could even see what time the gates are open. Huge watches were put on the walls. Today, those things are dilapidated. Today, maps indicating the roads and water holes inside the parks are dilapidated. Do you think...
Yeah, we need to remember that the park's funding is limited. The Ministry of Environment and Tourism has only, Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, has only limited funding in order to do these things. And the funding is reduced every year. So one needs to keep in mind that one needs money to do these things.
Yeah.
And there are private individuals that are willing to, like our company, that are willing to fund projects like this in order to signage the properties or the parks properly. I've been contacted by park management already. We have a meeting scheduled for this afternoon where we're going to discuss, you know, these issues, and they're doing the best they can. You know, you can't criticize someone that has both hands tied behind their back due to budgetary constraints. That these things are not being done. But I can tell you, in the last week, the anti-poaching action that we've seen in Mango National Park, especially, has been spectacular. They've been soldiers, they've been rangers, they're armed and everywhere, and they're protecting our wildlife. So they're doing the best that they can.
That's fantastic. Jofie, thank you very much for your participation. It's really, it's great. Kaufeee?
Jofie, thank you. I've just basically got one last question, if you don't mind. Whilst you were on the line with us and Dirk was talking to you, I went into the Etosha Park regulations section, and an interesting thing that I saw here is that they're referring to it in the terms of the relevant sections of the Nature Conservation Ordinance 1975. In other words, Ordinance 4 of 1975. And then it spells out the regulations, which is a pretty long list. Now, the question that I have is this the last time this ordinance was reviewed, or that this, because it seems to be law, don't you think that it might need to be reviewed and need some changes, you know, so that we can all go with the times here?
Yeah, Kaufeee, it's a very good question. The ordinance was last written in 1975 and has not been reviewed. Some sections have been reviewed, some small pieces.
Right.
We are still waiting for the new wildlife ordinance to be adopted and enforced.
Sure, sure.
So that we've been working on that for the last 50 to 20 years.
Wow.
So it's a big process, and a lot of people have to agree on a lot of things that are very controversial.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Because this is what we're discussing, people driving on roads that aren't there. And in fact, the second portion of this, it says that no person shall drive a vehicle on a road that has been declared closed by a road sign. And I agree with you what you're saying. You know, we can't just put like signs up everywhere, you know, say, okay, this is not a road.
Yeah.
And just because some previous person has bundu bashed there, you know, some other person says, oh, I see the tracks. So we are totally with you in terms of what you're saying. But I do sincerely hope that all the parties that are in the industry can somehow bring these regulations and this ordinance of 1975 into a better perspective of 2022, if you know what I mean.
That's right. A tour operator that says, like yesterday, the man that I confronted, driving off the road with his clients.
Right.
I simply said to him, stay on the road. And I got a comment this morning that I was rude. You know, I didn't ask him if his bacon was crispy and his eggs were fluffy, and you know that if asked his guests if the tour guide had cleaned the vehicle appropriately and that their water was cold.
Right.
I simply told him to stay on the road. You know, I don't have to be polite and nice to him. I told him simply in straightforward ways, stay on the bloody road.
Yeah.
It's not difficult.
Yeah.
He said, but someone drove here before me, and that's not an excuse. That's not an acceptable excuse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jofie, thank you very much. We totally get your point, and we wish you all the best of luck.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Jofie. Bye.
Baie dankie Jofie. Great. Wel dan, en ons moet net sê dat Jofie het van sy kant af gesê dat sy organisasie gaan help om tekens op te padtekens.
Right.
En soort van rigtingaanwysers in die park, en dis waaroor die vergadering vanmiddag gaan. Laat weet vir ons wat julle dink, stuur vir ons julle boodskapies. En ons gaan volgende gesels oor hoe belangrik dit is om meer te verstaan van ons oseane. En spesifiek die Benguela stroom. Bitter min mense weet hoe belangrik dit is dat ons ook die klein eilandjies op ons kuslyn bewaar.
Ja.
Meer hieroor na die advertensie. Ons gaan met Jens Schneider praat. Alhoewel hy 'n filmmaker is, het hy baie noue kontak met 'n klomp geleerde mense, manne en vrouens wat hulle self beywer vir die bronne wat uit ons oseane kom. Ons is nou terug met Jens.
Vintage Bar and Grill. At Vintage, we simply love our music. We have a variety of live bands playing in our beer garden every Friday and Saturday from 2 to 6. From Wednesdays to Saturdays, our great DJ keeps the place rocking from 7 to 12 in the evening. We also have karaoke every other Thursday where you can come and sing your heart out. So I guess you can say it's a music lover's paradise? Vintage Bar and Grill. Always a good time.
Dag ons, welkom. Jens hier by ons.
Baie dankie Dirk.
En weer eens welkom, meneer Kaufman, terug.
Ja, thank you. Thank you.
Ek het dit het
Rip, hooray.
Ja, dit het my gister gevoel
No
asof ek nie my onderklere aan het nie, want jy was missing.
Yes. But you kept the fort very well. I did watch the video last night. So well done.
Ja, Jens, baie dankie dat jy kom kuier het. Twee belangrike issues, en ons wil hê julle moet saamgesels daar by die huis, vir die van julle wat kyk, is hoe belangrik is die kennis van ons oseane?
Weet jy, Dirk, that it's not just about the oceans, it's about the environment. And you heard in the previous, if you speak to Jofie, I mean, that's where the problems are highlighted. And the important thing is that we go to Swakopmund and see our ocean usually as a recreational, you know, a landscape where we go fishing and we go camping, we braai and whatever. But through the films that we were commissioned to do, and we are still busy with one big project for the Benguela Current Convention, and that's an interesting term. So it's a convention that was signed between Angola, Namibia and South Africa that they look and manage at the marine resources in that larger Benguela marine area.
When was that document signed, or that agreement?
Now, why are you asking me?
Oh, okay.
No,
it was a couple of years back.
Yeah, because when we were speaking to Jofie in terms of that other ordinance just
Some
now,
of them are very
are these not old reviewed things?
No, this is a pretty recent one. I just failed.
Okay.
I should know it because I have dealt with it.
Right. Okay, sure.
But it's a recent a recent convention, and the commission sits here in Swakopmund, and it's directed by Dr. Ben van Zyl, which is it's a name in our country. So we've been we produced 3.5 years ago. We produced 2 films for them. One on the resilience of Lüderitz, where we looked at the fisheries, the small scale artisanal fisheries in that area, and how they can be developed. And that was so uniquely interesting. And from that, we also did one in Henties Bay. We have an organization that supports over 100 artisanal fishers. So they go out and fish. They get driven out. They fish and they bring it back to Hafa in Henties Bay. Okay. And everybody can buy from them. Because you and me can't really fish and sell commercially.
One thing I did not know, and you guys can please participate in this discussion, the importance of the Benguela stream or system for South Africa and also Namibia. One thing I did not know, you always look at a small little island, and my first thought is, oh, it would be nice to build a little house there, and every now and then just commute on a little boat to go and fetch your supplies. But listen, I'm going to just read something here. Small islands immediately offshore the Namibian coast, of course, principally Mercury Island, Ikabu, I think, Halifax, and Possession. They support the Namibian breeding population of Cape Gannets, 96%. The population of African penguins, nearly 1/4 of the global breeding population of the crowned cormorants, and approximately 80% of the global population of the endangered bank cormorant. And then, they breed on Mercury and Ikabu, and then various other ones, penguins, gannets. We got all sorts of figures here. But Jens, are those still in place? Are we on track with that in terms of I want to say conservation? Because a lot has been said and been written about pollution, then illegal, let's call it hunting of these species. Right. And then all sorts of other activities that actually prohibit them. For instance, the collection of guano at one stage in history that destroy these breeding colonies.
So I was in a fortunate position to speak with one of the manager actually of Mercury Island, who lived on Mercury Island for 26 years. So he's a scientist from the Ministry of Fisheries. And I met him 2 weeks ago in Lüderitz when we filmed there. And what I learned from that is phenomenal. And you're quite right, those islands have always historically been important breeding grounds, and for especially the gannet and the penguin and the cormorants. 1841, roundabout there, somebody drove there and went past there and found about 25 to 30 feet of guano. And they immediately came and took the entire guano off. They were at a stage, I believe, about 450 boats just around Mercury Island, was at Ikabu, collecting the guano, destroying the entire habitat. So they are so important because they indicate, these islands and the health of the population of the penguin and the gannets in particular, indicate the health of the oceans. If there's a change in the environment, i.e. pollution. And one of the biggest jobs of the people living, there's only 1 or 2 people on the island at any given state. They then, if there's a pollution, an oil spill, then it's their job to clean up those penguins and make sure that they stay, and because they are so habitual in their areas. But so the islands are an indicator of ocean health, and linking it to the Benguela current. So Lüderitz in particular is where the upwelling of the ocean.
Correct.
So upwelling is the persistent southwest wind that pushes the colder, more nutritional, ocean currents to our coast, and that's why we have that rich, marine resource at our coast. If the wind sort of dissipates, then that will affect our fish stocks and our larger ocean economy. It is. Did you know that we have marine protected areas
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Namibia?
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
phenomenal. And
Yeah.
many people don't know because, I mean, our life is, inextricably linked to the ocean.
Yeah, the wellness of the ocean.
The wellness
Yeah,
of the ocean
yeah.
in particular. So, more than 50% of our oxygen comes from the ocean. And one of the interesting things is, you speak about islands and the health of the islands. If you in Swakopmund just go, take your kids to those rock pools and just look what's happening there. Kaufeee, have you ever seen a sea hare? Do you know what a sea hare is? A sea horse.
A rabbit, sea rabbit, for
rabbit.
lack of a better. No, I've never seen a sea horse.
It's a huge mollusk. It's about a kilogram.
Okay.
And it's abundant. So have you ever seen that little spaghetti algae that you would think?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I've seen
so
that.
sort of
Yes.
pinkish.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Those are the eggs of a sea hare.
My word.
So if you then look closely, then you see that sea hare. So anyway, we filmed that just, I think, in February earlier this year. And it was a sunny day, and I filmed the movement of the sea hare. So you spend quite some time underwater with your underwater cameras. And going back to the studio, I was just seeing, well, that's interesting. There's the water seems carbonated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suddenly you realize this is photosynthesis in action. So the green algae in those little rock pools,
Right.
obviously, they produce the oxygen that we breathe. And you can physically see
it
I've got
in
footage.
front
If
of
you look
Wow.
on conservation in action on
Incredible.
YouTube, you can actually see it. And for the first time, if you have that tangible view of how the ocean really works and how important it is, and that's where education comes in.
Wow.
Jofie was talking about people driving off-road.
Yeah.
It's a no-no. Ron, when we went to Mercury Islands, Rian Jones tells me that somebody had a helicopter with wealthy clients and they landed on the only sort of flat piece of Mercury Island
Yeah.
under the direction of the tour guide and the
Okay.
pilot, of course, was big trouble a couple of years back. And they destroyed many, I mean, they just minced up a couple of those birds that
wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
So people don't understand how quickly and how you can damage and how sensitive those
Ecosystems are.
Ecosystems
Yes.
are.
Absoluut macro-organismes. Weet jy, ek het nou eendag van Henties af gery. En sommer net in gedagte geraak en ek begin kyk na al die spore. Boonbehalwe die paaie wat gemaak is na die verskillende populêre visvangplekke toe.
Ja.
Praat ek net van die hoofpad af, Kaufeee spore, random spore net na die kuslyn toe. En ek het myself die vraag gevra, in die eerste plek gaan daai spore bly daar vir baie jaar.
Yes.
Dit weet ons.
Ja.
Die tweede plek is hoeveel van daai absolute mikro lewende groentjies, plantjies. Ek weet nie of jy al ooit gestop het op pad Henties toe, net gestap het in die woestyn instap.
I mean, you get those lesion fields,
Wel, presies
and
dit.
those are like microplants.
Presies dit. En mense besef dit nie, maar ja, ek dink dis dalk baie daunting vir die tour for the tour guides. I think it's challenging because they actually want to make sure that their tourists go home with a lot of wow factors.
Yes.
Dit moet seker moeilik wees vir hulle om te sê nee, sorry. But on the other side, it is education, and it's important that should be discussed, and it's part of the
And I
tour.
do think that Namibia does offer, I'm sorry, I'm staying on the roads here just for the time being. Does offer quite a number of places where off-road driving is allowed. But please stay in the spoor.
I remember a couple of years ago that the municipality of Swakop actually in preserving the coastline from Swakop to Long Beach and further on and into the dunes, X amount of kilometers, actually insisted that for the preservation not just of the dunes but also for the coastline, that there should be proper roads, not proper roads, but demarcated areas for quad bikes and so forth.
And it was actually such a pleasure to see, because I took my kids for a little bit of a birthday present on one of these quad bike tours through the desert. And how well it was handled by the guide. And, you know, because between the dunes you get this piece of hard space, and how they actually avoid it, how they just go around on the sides, you know, because there are birds laying eggs in those areas, and so well done on that particular off-road.
Yeah, I think any naturalist guide of note will never take any route and any tourist off-road.
Yes.
It's just not in the ethos. And if you look at the researchers, I mean, I've spent so much time with people in the field where I just, you know, some people have brooms on the car, so if they have to reverse and they accidentally or by landscape have to go off the road, they stop, get out.
And they
sweep it. It's fantastic.
So you don't see it. And I mean, people think, okay, is this now overdoing it? Not at all.
No.
We are so reliable. We have one of the best ecosystems, live ecosystems, rich in biodiversity in the world. And we need to understand how important it is. And also coming back to the ocean, how important the ocean is. I mean, they are so interlinked. You spoke about the weather. Without the ocean, we wouldn't have had these fluctuations of weather.
Absolutely.
You know, and our climate is
very true.
You know, guided by that.
Yeah.
And so I find that one of the big things, and this is why we're doing those films, the educational aspect thereof has become so important. And yes, there's so many topics to pursue, and obviously that knowledge on staying on the road is just one of them. And, you know, not driving along the coastline where we're not fishing. You know, one of the very interesting things, we've heard about the Cobb Run. It starts in November.
Yes.
Winter, right?
Yes.
So people go out and then they catch these huge cob and the huge galjoen. There's a moratorium on catching specific sizes. There's a limit on. There's a reason for that. Now everybody's excited, and you know, can we not? We will never be able to sort of influence the fish stock. Yeah, we can, because they all have eggs. So they're coming from north, Merwebai, from that area. They go down to Balties beyond Sandwich to spawn, and if you catch them on the way down, there's your. This is our stock. That is being caught, you know. So that's why it's protected. There's a reason for that. And stick with the fish size. There's so much to go around. And one of the interesting misconceptions is that the trawling fish don't actually catch the kabeljau and the galjoen and all those fish, because they are just in the shallow water, relatively speaking. But the point is, become a little bit more aware and make sure that we keep our environment and especially our marine resources in such a state that next generations will have the benefit of that.
In terms of this, Jens, I don't know if you know this, but is our fishing, in terms of quotas and the regulation of that, is that actually quite a good thing?
It is incredible how the researchers at the fisheries in Swakopmund, these guys really know what they're doing. I mean, yes, and they do a very thorough analysis for years and years, and they advise the ministries. And that's all that they can do. They can really just advise.
Yeah.
So those marine research centers here in Wafisbai and in Swakopmund and in Ludwitz, they're doing a phenomenal job, and it's really something we've all had the negative PR in recent years, but it's really you need to look at the positive side. There's a huge, I mean, that outweighs not that it outweighs the severity of the issues that we have on that level, but we need to admire really and encourage the scientists in their work and to take an interest in it. And have you taken your kids to the aquarium lately?
Yes. Well, not lately, but I have.
Your kids are a little bit bigger now. But obviously, it's phenomenal just to go there again and remind yourselves of what life. And there you will also see a sea here, by the way.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But you know, and that's a start. And take your kids down to the rock pools and educate them about the life. It's
Weet jy, Kaufee, wat ek net wil sê vir vissermanne. Ek praat nou van die hardebaard vissermanne wat dit al vir baie jare doen. En hulle kinders saam met hulle. Daai ons is conservationists. Dis die roekelose jong wat dit nog nooit regtig waar gedoen het vir 'n lang tyd nie, wat baie keer die skade aanrig. En daarom voel ek is die literacy, ocean literacy, en die opvoedkunde wat by die huis moet begin, so belangrik.
Sure.
Want daar's van daai ou baarde, soos van die Game Rangers, wat dood eenvoudig besig sê, luister jy, baie geluk met jou nuwe bakkie wat jy gekoop het. But there's no reason to stuff up nature like this.
Right.
Jy weet, as jy nie weet hoe om dit te gebruik nie.
Ja.
Want baie ouens gaan vir die avontuur daarvan.
Ja.
Ek het 'n 4x4. Dan kom ek gaan wys vir my chomme.
Of 'n nuwe quadbike.
Jy weet, of so iets. So ek moet sê dat ek dink baie van die vissermanne doen moeite en besef ook die waarde van die seebronne wat daar is. 'n Ding waar ons nie altyd gesels nie, maar ons kan nou miskien net hier aanraak. Ek wil hê ons net gou eers kyk na boodskappe.
Ja.
Wat het ons daar?
Right, so let's just have a look at a couple of the messages coming through. We get so intertwined in our talk. Liesel Venter van Cel, the one from Ocean and Farm and Ocean, says, let's make a date. I'm in for a kaya, so I'll be chatting to Liesel later on.
Okay.
Piri Souden has joined us as well. Hy sê hy werk, maar hy luister so met een oor. Piet Spies sê, môre julle welkom terug, Hannes. Hallo Piet, ja. Baie dankie. Hy sê bloem vandag -4 en 22 grade. Lekker koud. Ja, Pierre sê dit was seker Dirk se oendies wat my gister nie laat werk toe gekom het nie. And then Andre Kadekis Carsten says, thank you Jens for what you guys are doing for the environment. Thank you Andre. I'm sure Jens much appreciates that. Wanted to ask you, no, this is, I'm not the expert, but I know this.
Nee, goed.
Do you know what a bycatch is?
A bycatch.
So if you go into a restaurant.
Yeah.
If you go into a restaurant, have you ever eaten sole?
My soul.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
the fish,
sole,
the sole.
Yeah.
That's the fish that was used to swim like this, and then it fell over.
Yeah.
So now it's got its two eyes on top on the one side. So it's basically on the it lies on the ground at the bottom of the ocean. Then so it's the most important, the most expensive fish generally on the menu.
Okay.
Purely because it is a bycatch.
A bycatch.
So in other words, no boat can go out and say we're now going to catch sole because you can't go and catch it. It lies on the bottom of the sea. There's no way of catching only sole.
Okay.
So they go out for, let's say, king clip or whatever it might be, and what, and then they happen to have these soles in the nets,
and that's why it's called.
And that is why it's called a bycatch.
Goed, julle kom met ons deel.
Look and learn on
information. Ek wil ook net sê van boodskappe, baie dankie. Ons het op ons WhatsApp het ons boodskappe gekry. Die nommer is op die skerm 081 432 8233. Daar is versoeke gewees oor tariewe. Kaufeee het klaar dit aangespreek vanoggend.
Ja.
Ons sal die tariewe stuur. Onthou net julle is baie welkom te adverteer. Die belangrik is dat ons met jou kontak maak en met jou gesels. Omdat daar soveel opsies is hoe jy kan adverteer.
We want to adapt your exposure on Infostream according to your business and your ability.
Ja. Ek wil nou teruggaan, ek sien ons tyd stap aan na Jens toe, baie dankie weer eens vir Jofie en vir Jens. En dankie en sterkte aan die conservation groep. Ek dink ek moet jou op daai conservation groep sit. Of kry, want hulle doen geweldig baie werk agter die skerms wat ons nie eens van weet nie. En die hartseer van bewaring is dat baie ouens doen dit uit hulle eie sak uit. Daar is bitter min befondsing. Daar is wel organisasies, bewaringorganisasies. En dis altyd 'n warm patat hierdie ene, want jy sien op hulle Facebook pages en op die websites, we've got this trust, donate money, most of the time it's in US. Dan wonder hy altyd as die geld ingesamel word, of jy sien hier's 'n cheque wat oorhandig word aan 'n trust van honderde duisende rande. Waarna toe gaan die geld? Gaan dit na bewaring toe? One of these questions, Jens, is ocean literacy. Are we doing enough? I'm talking from raising the child to understand where the human race's future food source will come from.
Okay. We haven't even started yet. In my opinion, we haven't started yet. And look, the Conservation Film Foundation is one of those trusts, but it's a local trust. And we work on grants and donations, obviously, to film all the research and the knowledge and harness that knowledge into short, really educationally compact videos and small films that will be distributed to institutions. And all the other trusts that work. I mean, if you look at the Desert Lion, if you look at the Desert Adapted Elephant, I mean,
Wild Dogs,
all the other, you know, they are working. So the research is essential to ensure that we have functioning human-wildlife interaction and mitigating the conflict. And I just saw a post of Tristan Carley this morning on the social media where him and Jason Knott drove in the northwest, and the comment in summary from Tristan was that in his 30 years of driving the area, he has never witnessed the regeneration of the desert. They saw on every day they saw herds and herds of zebras, and he says in the thousands, and they were breeding herds of oryx. The springbok are flourishing. Personally, I saw just outside Ois 100 plus 120, I think, more or less we counted, of springbok. We saw in the Chisap River 22 giraffe.
Wow.
Surely two years prior, during COVID, we released 14 just in the Onduli, in the Doranawas Conservancy, 14 of them. But they didn't seem to have been part of that group. So there's, with that grass, I don't know if you've been to the northwest slope, the Damara and Brandon.
I've been to it before, but not recently.
It's like a meadow. The grass is...
Wow.
I can imagine.
It's beautiful.
I can imagine.
So we'll have... And this needs to be managed right now. But coming back to your ocean literacy. So the education part of our films becomes so important. So we're just starting. So thanks to the Benguela Current Convention, who made these funds available for this particular project that we're busy with. It's more about the marine resources, but there is a person called Johnny Gannatham, who used to be a marine researcher. And he started his first course in Lüderitz 2 weeks ago. That's why we went to Lüderitz and we documented that. So he is now physically going to schools, to the secondary schools, and he's developed a couple of courses. And we're going to support that in future as well. I've looked at going further into specific segments of ocean literacy, but also environmental, landscape, literacy. That's also one very important part, you know. So we'll be busy filming and doing educational programs, you know, going forward.
I think it's fantastic. I think we should encourage all schools, institutions, and individuals. Conservation start in your backyard. The importance of the ocean literacy is basically 4 principles. The Earth has one big ocean with many features. We need to understand it. I don't even think. I think a lot of people have no idea how complex the ocean is, and then life in the ocean, because that will shape the future, also of our existence. And then I think what's generally known is the major influences in terms of climate and weather patterns, and then the fact that it's the ocean that made the Earth habitable.
Exactly.
I don't think people understand that. So think about it, and yes, again, thank you for your time.
Your insights, yes.
Yeah, and we'll have you here on a regular basis and come and share that with us. And maybe what we should do is on the Benguela project, once you're ready, is sort of we share a little clip on the show.
With pleasure,
we play it, just some interesting, or 1 or 2 interesting
maybe
interviews.
just for our viewers, maybe you can give them just your address where they can find all your artwork, well, your movies and everything that you've done.
Okay, with pleasure, thank you. So it's easy, it's conservationfilmfoundation.org. There's our website, and the entire story is there. All our projects, our current projects, are on there. And then if you go to our YouTube channel, then you go to Conservationists in Action. There we have probably, I think, around about 80 or 90 films on there already that you can have a look at. Ensure that you please follow and like, because the more following we get, the bigger our spread through the algorithm, so we can spread the knowledge. And we're doing Namibian environmental education, but it's not limited. I think Namibia has a story to tell for the globe, us you know, we have a global responsibility. Every individual has a global responsibility to take care of the environment. And there are so many hundreds, if not thousands, of dedicated people just within Namibia. There are probably several thousands who have been doing this for a long time, and us as filmmakers can only sort of marvel at what they are doing, and you know, and we try and sort of mainstream that knowledge into sizable chunks, you know, for educational purposes.
You know, the same goes for the Namibian Game Rangers.
Yes.
They got a wonderful Facebook. Go and check it out. Mark Baxton is the president, and if I just see and look at the activities, then we need to support them much better. And go and read about Namibia Game Rangers and what they do. The sad thing about it is that in Africa, Southern Africa as well, a lot's been done for the Game Rangers, and they receive various awards. But it's like the Namibian Game Rangers are fighting a huge battle, and they're just not getting the recognition.
Right.
And we will talk about that later, maybe another program.
Yes.
And of course, we want you guys to talk with us, but go and read up on the Namibian Game Ranger, or the chapter for Namibia. Kaufeee, let's look if we got any more comments, and then we're quickly just going to do an overview of what's coming for the rest of the week.
Okay, so at this point in time, we don't have any new comments. Karakis was the last one. Thank you, everybody who've joined us thus far. And what's coming for the week, as we spoke about it
Tomorrow.
earlier?
Tattoo.
Oh, tomorrow's the tattoo
We're going to
show,
see if,
yes.
tattoo artists, we're going to see if...
I've got a lot of friends that are currently into tattoos, and you know, the way that these tattoo artists have evolved themselves and what they are able to do is fascinating.
My daughter
Absolutely
is a tattooist. She
Oh,
does
really?
hand poked.
Whoa.
Hand pokes tattoos, yeah.
That's
Wow.
interesting.
Okay.
And we spoke last week very briefly now on how many new barber shops open in Windhoek.
Yes.
You know, they're all over, but they're doing great job. And each one got their own following.
Yeah.
You know, that's quite interesting.
And their
because
own
they got different styles.
Yeah.
So they're two artists, the same thing. And let's see what we can do. Thursday,
we are going to get a specific artist for an interview on Thursday.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be an outside broadcast.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see us in this environment. You'll see us in a much more relaxed
environment.
This is not relaxed enough.
Yeah. I'm talking about those cold beverages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Friday, the same thing. We're also going to sort of like be on the move this week.
And always remember, if we can come to your business, just let us know. The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. It's +264 81432 8233.
Or just send your comments. I've noticed again after yesterday and Friday with our first outside broadcast, people send comments after the show because that's when they look at it.
Right, sure.
You can do that, but also go and like the Facebook page and share the videos. And very important, if you've missed that, go to YouTube and go and look at any of the episodes that you've missed. You're so welcome to do that.
So are we going to look at the weather?
Please look at the weather.
We almost forgot about the weather. Okay.
Weather or not?
Whether or not. So, rainy
weather.
and windy conditions are expected in the south on Wednesday and Thursday. So that cold front is coming through, according to the Met Office. In the meantime, today, the sun is still in the interior, sunny and mild to warm in the Karoo region. Elsewhere, sunny and hot. The coast partly cloudy and mild to warm, with fog patches in the south, the wind moderate to fresh southwesterly. Maximum temperatures for the day, Windhoek 29, Walvis Bay 20, with Swakopmund 18. The Zambezi in Katima Mulilo 33, going to Umuthia 30, Ondangwa 32. Then Ochibarongo 30, with Rehoboth at 29, going to the south. Malta here and Keetmanshoop both at 28, and then to the east of the country, Beitepos and Gobabis both at 28 as well.
So we don't have any specific cautionary note for farmers?
Not at this particular point, but they're saying rainy and windy conditions are expected in the south on Wednesday and on Thursday.
I've just noticed we got an app, and I'm following it. I'm going to share that with you tomorrow, South African forecast.
Right.
Very interesting one, very informative, with a presenter. And I'm going to see if we can't get a contribution from their side between 10 and 11.
Sure.
But they have warned that all along the West Coast and reaching the points of our borders, that farmers must take care because of light snowfalls.
Okay.
So I think that's going to move into the southern part of Namibia.
Well, there we have it.
Kaufeee, if that's it, then we say goodbye.
That's it.
Because we've got a couple of
Thank you
things
for
to
joining
plan
us.
for the rest of the week. And we'll be back tomorrow with some interesting artists, I hope. And then we will be out of here on Thursday and Friday. We'll be at different other venues, but we'll tell you more about that.
Yes.
So in the meantime, take care, look after yourself,
Cool.
and live life. Live life a little bit.
Don't break your ribs.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you must make more money. You must make more time for yourself. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Remember, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and you can also WhatsApp us. Please do us a favor and like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell icon, so you can get an update when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for now, hope to see you next time.